This is Live for Love TV. Live for Love TV. Yes, I am.
One step more. One step more. One step more. Until you reach your goals. One step more. Save them soul. One step more. One step more. How good it is to reach the
Live for Love TV. This is Live for Love TV. Live for Love TV.
Okay, welcome back, Live for Love TV, the 14th day of the 7th month, the 21st year in the 21st century. I hope you just saw a Live for Love t-shirt here, Live for Love TV t-shirt. Thank you very much. Blowing in the wind, as you can see. Okay, today we're going to go back into a sports conversation. Now, it's not going to be the sports conversation we spoke about at the last conversation, which was dealing with racism. This one is just dealing with sporting achievements and things that inspire a lot of people. Now, I like all sports. I really do. I like friendly competition in sports, and I like sports in general. So I don't know if probably my favorite sport, if you have to give me just one to watch, would probably be athletics. But I like all sports. But the sport I've liked for the last 15 years consistently, without a break, I liked it long before that, 40 odd years ago. But there was a point where there were people in that sport that I didn't actually like to watch. So they actually killed the sport for me, and I stopped watching them. I'm not going to name them because I think that'd be unfair, because some people did like them, but I didn't like those particular people. We're talking about tennis. They call it lawn tennis in the UK because it's the lawn, but you know, there's hard courts and there's clay, as you people would know. Recently, at Wimbledon, Djokovic just won his 20th Grand Slam title, which equals him with Nadal and Federer. And I think that anybody who's watched tennis, and we've seen some of the greats, the Connors, the Borgs, the McEnroes, the Ilie Nastasis. We've seen some of the great players of the era. I should mention Arthur Ashe, obviously. The great Arthur Ashe, I think one of the few brothers to have won Wimbledon. But this era of tennis, male tennis, I'm talking about, is probably the best competitive and the best tennis I've ever seen. And I think it will go down as the golden era in tennis. I mean, eras can come and go, but I think for the next X amount of years, it will go down as a golden era of tennis. And we've got some great players. I mean, not just to mention the top three I just mentioned, but Andy Murray's also a great player. There's many other players, you know, French players that have flair, maybe not have the ability to win Grand Slams, but they're good players in themselves. Some have excellent backhands, some have great forehands, you know, some have different attributes. Now I'm inspired by the top three I just mentioned. Federer for his flair, his intellect, his ability to make the game look so effortless. I love watching him. Probably if you ask me who my favorite player was, it certainly would be Roger Federer. I love Nadal for his tenacity, his strength, his ability, his never say die style of tennis. I love that about him, and I get a lot of inspiration. Even when I go to the gym, I get a lot of inspiration out of just watching Nadal, you know, train or play, looking like he's training. It's amazing to me. But Djokovic is the person I feel most inspires me out of all of the tennis players I've ever watched. And the reason for that is because there's something about him that I can't 100% put my finger on, but he inspires me. And maybe that's why he inspires me. Maybe it's because I can't see exactly what it is, but his mental ability, his mental fortitude, his ability to be 2 sets down, and to those of us who watch him and like him, we still believe he's got it in the bag. Can you imagine that? You're 2 sets down in a 5-set final, and most of the people still believe you're going to win. I mean, that is unusual to say the least. He's as we know, he's from Eastern Europe. Now, the Eastern European situation is amazing in itself. Maybe that's the reason. I'm not 100% sure why he always seems to be the underdog against the other two, or even Andy Murray when it comes to the finals. The crowds always seem to be with the Western European people, and leaving the Eastern Europe probably the best player of all time, probably. He's always the underdog, and he knows he's the underdog, and he plays like that. And I think he's inspired by it. He's inspired beating the person who everybody hangs a hat on. I think that's how he trains and how he thinks. When Russia was in control of most of the Eastern European bloc, the USSR, these kind of people wouldn't have come to the fore unless they abdicated and came to the West. So we probably wouldn't have heard of a Djokovic at that time. And when we did hear of them, they were, as I say, abdicators. They weren't coming out of Russia itself. So when Russia lost its power over these places and they broke up and they had their wars. And so now if you look at the female tennis, it seems like almost every top player, barring one or two, are actually from Eastern Europe in the female tennis situation. That's amazing in itself. And even the ones that are actually playing for Western countries, if you look at their names, you know that their parents have come from Eastern Europe, Romania, Poland, wherever. But they've come from Eastern Europe and they're now playing for Australia's, America's, whoever, Canada, I don't know, even the UK. So Eastern Europe has come to dominate tennis in the 21st century. And Djokovic, I'd say, well, he's the number one at the moment, is also an Eastern European. And I really think that has a lot to do with why he doesn't get the support that he should do. And I think he knows that. And I think that's why he fights that little bit harder. He gets that mindset going. And, you know, just like in the final, he looks at his box and he says, it's all up here, you know, because just like all sports, all competitive sports, it's 80% psychology and 20% ability and whatever ability you have. But that 20% is very important. I'm not saying you don't have to try hard. You have to put everything you can into that physical ability that you have. But the psychology, the mental state, when you go up against another man, whether it's in boxing, whether it's in running, whatever it is, that's what wins you the race. And normally it's won before you even get on the court, before you get on the track, before you get on the football field. It's usually won there before you get there. Very rarely that it's won actually on the court. It looks like it is, but for those who know and have been around sports for a long time, they'll know that's not how it goes. I'm bringing up Djokovic today because I think he's unsung. He's an unsung sports person. He's a genius to me. I'm inspired by him. I'm looking forward to a brother coming up and taking him out. No matter how much I'm inspired by anybody, I always like to see the best person get to the top, whether it's a brother or not. But it'd be nice to see a brother get up there and really play. But the reality is, it doesn't matter how much talent you have. You still have to have the mental fortitude to be a champion. Champions, as I always say this, champions are won off the court, outside the boxing ring. That's where the champion and somebody who stays champion for many years is really forged. You know, people think it's just what you do on the day. It's usually what you do in between that time. Just like a king, any king that sits on a throne, it's what he does when he's not on his throne that allows him to be a king of some note, and a king that's going to be revered for hundreds and hundreds of years. When you're a glutton, when you just enjoy all the, you know, the festivities and you're not taking your kingdom seriously, you don't last that long. And even when you do last a little while, you're soon forgotten and people can't wait to see the back of you. Well, Djokovic, to me, I see him as a king of tennis. For me, he's a king of tennis. He's what he does off the court. If you listen to him speak, he's an inspiration in the things he says. It's an inspiration in the way he lives his life. He's an inspiration in the way he eats and the way he trains. And I mean, when you consider how much money all of these top players have to put themselves at their age through what they put themselves through to get there and stay at number one, most of us, we couldn't even dream of it. We just don't have it. We'd have enough money. We've got enough fame. I mean, he's got enough money to live probably 4 lifetimes. So it's obviously driven by something more. Maybe some will say it's just fame and greed or whatever. Well, I don't think so. I think some people are driven by an ability, you know, whether you want to see it as I say, the law of attraction or not, but some people are driven by something greater than themselves. They realize that they're inspiring people other than themselves. He inspires me, and I know he inspires a lot of people. And people don't want to call his name out too much because, as I said, he's not necessarily that popular. Once you're a winner, everyone sort of, you know, once you win, everyone likes you. Everyone likes a winner. But I like him whether he's a winner or not. Even if he comes to the final and doesn't win, I still like him. I think he's an inspiration in all that he's doing and has been doing. And I advise people, especially people who believe that they've got something about them. So I don't care what it is, even this YouTube stuff. You can get inspiration from people like Djokovic. You can do things your way. You can people there. Yeah, there's lots of people with lots of subscribers, lots of people behind them. But when you listen to what their content is and what they're dealing with, that's no shame to the person who's doing it, because that's maybe why they want to get a big amount of views. But they'll be forgotten. If anything happens to them, they'll be forgotten very soon. And their videos will not play 10 years after they die. I can be sure of that. Just like people's records very rarely are paid 10 years after they die when they're talking rubbish. It may sound good now. It may get a whole heap of forward and, pull up and wherever. They don't get played for a long time, because as different generations come, that sort of novelty wears off of that person. But when you're deeper, when you've got something to say, when you've got content, when you're like Djokovic and you really play for more than just being able to win a tennis match, but to inspire yourself, you can see, even at the end of games, the way he looks and gives it to the crowd and says he's getting this is power. This is a man who grew up in a war zone. This is a man who talks about the bombs dropping and people dying all around him, and never at that point knowing that he would have been able to get out of that situation. But he dreamt big, and he dreamt truthfully within himself that he could get to where he is now and beyond. And those of you who accept, like I said, the law of attraction, the fact that you attract the life that you really believe, and the one that you can bring forth, you can attract it. I don't care what anyone says, you can attract it. It may not seem like it at the time, and people will tell you there's no way you can see it, but you can attract it. Some people attract hate, some people attract love, some people attract comments that are what they call troll comments or hateful comments or haters, whatever. That's what they're about. That's what they're about. And some other people, they're about more the loving thing. They got more love about them. Live for Love TV supports that. And if I see it in anyone, at any time, any place, surely I'm going to call it out as it is. I can't look at it from any other perspective. So to the greatest era of tennis that we're living through right now, enjoy it the way I enjoy it. Every time I see these guys come on the court, including the young guys that push them to the limit, I think it's wonderful. I love it. I enjoy it. It's my favorite sport at the moment. At the moment, like I said, athletics is my real love, but at the moment, it's my favorite sport because of how it's been played and the respect they have for their competition. Very few of these tennis players ever say or look at one another or behave negative towards their competitors. I don't know why they are that way. I don't know if it's just a particular sport. I don't know if that's the way they grew up. I don't know. But it makes competition seem good. And I don't believe that competition should be taken in a negative way. Friendly competition, loving competition, I have no problem with. But that kind of worldly competition that we have, where you have to compete with everybody for everything at all times, and we don't care if they drop dead in order for us to get where we need to get, that kind of competitiveness, I don't support. So Live for Love TV. Take care. See you soon.